Hey guys, Francis. Today is Friday, January the 17th, 2025. This is my trade review. We'll start off with the market bias. I had a bullish bias today. Today, the SPY was gapping above the previous day's red bar, gapping above the 50 moving average, and it's gapping above this trend line that I drew down. So I was pretty bullish on the SPY, and it has some contention with the 200 MA on the 65, but it kind of broken through no problem afterwards. Same thing with the Qs. The only thing was Q was right at this downward trend line that I drew, and it struggled quite a bit, and I think it affected how I traded on some of the stocks today. We'll start off with the stock that I traded, which was Hood. Hood, I watched it for a wedge pattern right here. Comparing that with the Qs, actually let's look at it on the macro time frame. I don't think it was overextended on the monthly. It took out the previous red bar and it seems to be continuing. Likewise on the weekly. On the daily, this was my favorite gap 2 days ago, and I felt like this was just a continuation. Looking back at the trade, this was a wedge pattern. I like this compared to the market. Pull the market one up. As the market was going down, Hood was staying steadfast. And this is where I entered, because it held this trend line, held the 9 EMA, and while this bar tripped under it, it closed above the trend line, and that's exactly where I went in. My entry was 48 by 47.50. The trigger price was actually 47.99, as you can see on the 2 minute right here. It triggered me right in to the penny, and immediately the next bar it sold off. It rather unfortunate. I didn't take a full RR loss. I just felt very uncomfortable that it immediately opened underneath the trend line, so I sold it for half R. I think I got a good fill, and I think I was down minus 0.47 for today, I believe. I would have taken a full R loss even if I gave it a little bit lower. So I felt like I assessed that pretty well. It just kind of hurt to see that later on in the day it formed exactly the same pattern, and it would have been no problem. So that kind of sucked. I mean, overall today it was pretty rough in the beginning, like especially for the SPYs too. 50% ATR, it was barely moving, and same with for the Qs. It just struggled for the most part until I started going to work. And yeah, Qs really kind of struggled at that point. Tesla was the other trade I had considered, but I ended up not taking. It didn't really gap above anything in particular. Even over this bar right here on January 5th, you're contending right here. I did like it in the beginning because it had relative strength to everything else, or at least to the basket stock. And I like this pullback as it consolidated. What kind of freaked me out was it kept going down while the market was starting to push up. So as you can see in this area right here, Q started to push up now above the VWAP, but Tesla continued to go down. But looking at the 5 minute, it's actually not too bad because yeah, it broke through the VWAP, but it closed right at the area of support and pretty much at VWAP. You got the rising 20 MA, you got a change in color bar, and then this bar should have been the entry bar right there. About 428.25 by whatever the low of this is, 425.75, call it. And you had it back to the high of day, no problem. It's been today was quite challenging in the beginning. Just Qs in the SPY were just not really moving. So that was rather rough. My favorite gap actually was QRVO, but it just was not tradable. Double bottom retest boosted up right here. I like that it broke through all this consolidation right here. It had some contention around 78, but no problem right off the bat. It just ripped, and that was the problem. It ripped, and it was pretty much by 6 minutes in, it was over 120% ATR at this point. The average ATR is about 250. Yeah, it formed a three-par play. Like, this is pretty clean as far as patterns concerned. But on an $80 stock, I wasn't about to take a three-bar play that was already 150% ATR. This thing ends up going 300, close to 300, but nonetheless, I don't think that would have been a prudent trade, especially when the market was weak right at this point. Pattern fantastic, just I couldn't stomach the ATR. So all in all today, down minus 0.46R. So that's my trade review for Friday, January the 17th, 2025. Thank you.